If this forest was ever my home, now it only smells of lies and death. The thought hits me the moment I step past the old boundary line. The air is heavy, damp with mist, and beneath it all clings the scent of decay, of memories rotting where they once bloomed. I pull my hood tighter, though the cold isn't what makes me shiver. I shouldn't have come back. But here I am. The trees loom like silent sentries, watching my every step as if they remember the girl who fled through them 2 years ago. The girl who left behind a father in the ground, a broken heart, and a pack that had once called her their own. I take another step. My boots sink into the soft earth. The moon tries to break through the clouds, a pale ghost tonight. What am I doing here? Guilt coils in my stomach. I picture my father, strong, proud, the kind of alpha others followed without question. The night he died haunts me still. A hunt gone wrong, they said. A tragic accident. And me? I ran. I ran, because staying meant facing truths I wasn't ready to see. A low growl stops me. I freeze. And then he steps out from the shadows. Jake, tall, broad-shouldered, his dark hair cropped close, his body tense like a drawn bow. His eyes, storm gray, pin me in place. He's dressed in black, like the night itself, but there's no mistaking the mark of the alpha at his throat, a silver pendant glinting in the weak light. For a second, neither of us speaks. Then his voice, low and steady. Didn't think I'd see you here again? I lift my chin, masking the tremor in my chest with a smirk I don't feel. Don't sound so thrilled, Jake. I wouldn't want to give you the wrong idea. His gaze hardens, but I catch the flicker beneath. Something raw, something like pain. You shouldn't have come back, Jess. It's not safe for you here. Since when did you care? The words taste bitter. He takes a step closer, the space between us charged. I see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands curl into fists at his sides. This isn't about what you think, no? I laugh, but it's hollow. Because what I think is that my father died, and you took his place. And now you're here playing the noble protector? Spare me. Jake's eyes flash, and for a heartbeat, I think he'll argue. But he doesn't. Instead, his voice drops lower, almost a whisper. You don't know everything. No, I think. I don't. And that terrifies me. Let me pass, I say, my voice sharper than I intend. His jaw tightens, but after a long beat, he steps aside. Your funeral? I walk past him, the heat of him brushing mine, and for a moment, I can't breathe. The pack's settlement looks both familiar and alien. The cluster of houses along the forest's edge, sleek wood and stone, modern but humble, now feels like a cage. High fences line the perimeter, and I can feel eyes watching from behind curtains, from doorways, from the darkness itself. I force myself to keep walking, to keep my head high. The main house looms ahead, the Alpha's house. My house, once. The door opens before I knock. Jessica. My mother's voice is clipped, the same as always. She stands in the doorway, a tall, thin woman with iron straight hair pulled back in a severe knot. Her face is pale, lined at the corners of her mouth and eyes, though she would never admit to aging. Her eyes, a shade lighter than mine, study me like I'm some stranger on her porch. Mother. For a moment, I think she'll embrace me. But she steps aside instead. Come in. Before they see you standing out there like some stray. I swallow the lump in my throat and enter. The house smells of polished wood and old secrets. The furniture is where I remember, but everything feels colder now, like no one really lives here anymore. Your room's as you left it. Thanks. She hesitates. Why are you here, Jessica? I had to come back. That's not an answer. I don't owe you one. The words slip out before I can stop them. Her face tightens. We'll talk in the morning. It's late. Fine. I take the stairs 2 at a time, the old boards creaking beneath my feet. The hallway smells like dust and pine cleaner. My room waits at the end, door slightly ajar as if it too has been holding its breath all this time. Inside, everything's just as I left it. The quilt on the bed, faded photos on the dresser. My father's watch, still on the nightstand. I close the door, leaning back against it. My heart hammers. Why am I here? Because I couldn't stay away. Because something pulled me back. Because I need answers. I sink onto the bed, head in my hands. And that's when I see it. A piece of folded paper slipped under the door while I wasn't looking. I stare at it, blood roaring in my ears. My fingers tremble as I open it. 4 words. Your father didn't fall by accident. Trust no one. The house creaks when I open the door. The same house I grew up in, now hollow, like a ribcage left behind after something wild tore through it. Dust hangs in the air like fog, catching in my throat as I step inside. The living room looks the same but wrong. Furniture draped in old sheets, papers scattered across the coffee table like a storm passed through mid-conversation. I set down my bag and walk in, each step kicking up more memories than dust. The couch where Dad used to fall asleep after patrols is still here. The clock he fixed every Sunday, still ticking on the wall. But the silence between those ticks is louder than it ever was. I wander to the bookshelf, half expecting to see his handwriting in the margins of some old pack history book. Instead, I find a broken frame, a picture of all 3 of us. My father's hand resting on my shoulder, my mother standing stiffly beside him, and me smiling like I belonged here. I place the frame face down. This isn't home anymore, I think. I head upstairs, pushing open the door to what used to be my room. It smells like old fabric and disuse. The window's cracked open, and the wind has left faint trails of dirt on the floor. I sit on the bed, holding the cryptic note from last night. Your father didn't fall by accident. Trust no one. My thumb brushes over the letters again and again. Who wrote this? And why now? A knock at the door startles me. Come in, I call out. It's my mother. Her presence always precedes her, that perfume, sharp and cold like cut flowers. She stands in the doorway with her arms crossed, lips drawn tight. You should clean this place up, she says without greeting. People talk. They'll think you've gone feral. I just got back, I reply dryly. Thought I'd ease into it. She ignores the sarcasm and moves further into the room, her heels clicking against the floor like a metronome of disapproval. There's an offer on the table, she says, pulling something from her coat pocket, a folded piece of parchment, formal, sealed. What kind of offer? I ask, already not liking where this is going. From Alpha Rourke of the Hollowcliff Pack. He's willing to merge lands, peace, trade, stronger patrols. All he asks is your hand for his son. I blink. I'm sorry. What? Her voice doesn't change. Ian Rourke. He's a strong candidate, well respected. The kind of bond that could stabilize everything your father left fractured. My laugh comes sharp. You want to trade me like cattle for a stronger alliance? Her expression doesn't waver. You haven't been here. You don't know what we've had to protect, what Jake has had to carry. Oh, so this is his idea? Her silence says enough. I rise to my feet. Tell them no. You don't have the authority to. I'm not marrying someone I don't know. And I'm definitely not doing it to make someone else's rule easier. She takes a slow breath. Jessica, don't be dramatic. This is about survival, about legacy. No, I say. This is about power. And I won't be a pawn in anyone's game. She leaves without another word. Later, I wander the property behind the house, a field overgrown with weeds where I used to train with my father. The wind rustles the grass like whispers. And for a moment, I feel like he's watching me. You've made quite the entrance, a voice says behind me. I turn to find my brother Evan, standing by the old well, arms folded, smile too smooth. He looks good. Too good. Tailored clothes, perfect hair, as if the years shaped him into something polished and dangerous. Didn't know you cared, I say flatly. I care about the state of the pack, he says. And you showing up now? That's inconvenient. I arch a brow. I'll try to be less of a disruption to your ambitions. His grin flickers. I'm just saying. Things have changed, Jess. You can't expect to waltz back in and pretend like nothing happened. I'm not pretending anything. I know things happened. I just want the truth. He steps closer. And what will you do with that truth? Stir up a war? Divide us even more? Maybe I'll just survive it this time. I murmur. He tilts his head, fake concern in his eyes. Look, I'm offering help. Let me handle things. I can protect you. I don't need your protection, Evan. His jaw tenses for a second, but he quickly recovers. You will. I head toward the old training ground near the woods. It's been cleared and expanded since I left. New weapons racks, reinforced fencing, signs of recent use. That's when I spot him. Jake. He's leading drills with 3 younger wolves, his shirt damp with sweat, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, muscles shifting under sun-browned skin, face set in focus. I hate how easily my eyes remember him. He sees me and dismisses the others. Didn't think you'd visit the grounds so soon, he says. I'm nostalgic, I mutter. He leans against a post, arms crossed. You always did like a fight, especially when the odds were fair. Jake narrows his eyes. Careful, Jess. You don't know what kind of enemies you're poking. You mean besides you? Silence. Then he says, I've been trying to keep the peace. By marrying me off to Hollowcliff's golden boy? His expression darkens. That wasn't my idea. But you didn't stop it. He straightens, stepping closer. Do you even want to be here, or are you just here to pick fights and relive old ghosts? I meet his gaze, steady. Maybe I came to bury them. For a moment there's something in his eyes, pain, regret, or maybe just exhaustion. Then behind him, I spot something else, Evan. Half hidden in the tree line. And he's not alone. A man stands beside him, tall, unfamiliar, wearing the sigil of the Hollowcliff pack. Their voices are low, but I catch one word before they vanish into the brush. Remove. My blood runs cold. The sun filters through the leaves in soft gold, but the light does nothing to warm the cold inside me. I stand alone in the clearing behind the training field, the one my father and I used every morning when I was younger. The grass is taller now, but I still remember where the ground dips from our endless sparring. I pull off my jacket, tie my hair back, and square my stance. Then I start to move. Punch. Block. Step. Pivot. Kick. The rhythm is still in my bones, but it's off. Sloppy. My strikes are too sharp, too fast, fueled by anger, not control. I lash out again, this time at the old wooden post we used to train with. My fist cracks against it, splinters flying. Blood smears across my knuckles, but I don't stop. Jess. The voice cuts through my haze. I turn, breathing hard. Jake stands a few feet away, arms crossed, expression unreadable. His gaze drops to my bleeding hand. You're going to break something. I shake out my fist. Good. Maybe I'll feel something useful. He steps closer. This isn't how you fight, no? I throw another punch at the post. Seems effective. Not for you. His voice is quieter now, and more dangerous. You used to fight with purpose, not just rage. I stop, chest heaving. That was before my father died. Before the lies. Before he chose the title over me. He moves toward me, slow but sure, like approaching a wounded animal. Why are you really here, Jess? Don't pretend you don't know. I don't. I turn to face him. You left me, I say, voice low. The night my father died, you let them name you Alpha. You didn't even ask what I wanted. Jake's jaw tightens. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. His eyes flash. I did it for the pack. You did it for you. The silence between us vibrates with things unsaid. Then he looks down, at my hand still bleeding. He takes a step closer, reaches for it. I don't move away. His fingers brush mine, gently turning my palm upward. His touch is warm, careful. The last time we were this close, he was promising me the moon. Flashback. We were 17, breathless from running through these same woods, laughing like we had the world ahead of us. I remember the way his hand slipped into mine, how his voice dropped when he said, I don't care what they say. You're my future, Jess. Alpha's daughter or not. I'd give it all up for you. And me? I believed him. Back to now. He looks up at me. For a second, our eyes lock. A breath between us. A heartbeat. Almost. Then, I pull my hand away. Don't. Jake lets it fall, stepping back. The moment breaks like thin glass. I pick up my jacket, wiping my hand. I have things to do. The house smells like cedar and secrets. I sit cross-legged in my father's old study, surrounded by boxes I've avoided for years. His desk still creaks when I open it. The drawers are packed with files, notes, old maps of territory lines. I hear the floorboards behind me creak. Lucas? The old man steps into the doorway, hat in hand, eyes tired. He was one of my father's closest friends, and the only elder I still trust, mostly. Thought I saw the light on, he says. Figured I'd check in. I'm digging, I reply, hoping to find answers no one wants to give. He leans against the doorframe. Some questions are better left alone, Jess. I can't do that. Lucas shifts uncomfortably. Your father. He had suspicions near the end. About Evan, about Rourke. But he didn't want to believe they'd move against him. I look up. Did they? He hesitates. All I know is, the night he died, he met with someone he didn't trust, said he'd be back before dawn. But he wasn't. No, Lucas sighs. And when we found him, the wounds didn't match any rogue attack I've ever seen. My stomach tightens. Why didn't you say anything? I'm an old man, Jess. I kept my head down. I thought if Jake became alpha, maybe it'd stabilize things. Maybe the danger would pass. But it didn't. Lucas nods. And now you're back. So be careful, girl. Some in this pack don't want the past stirred up. I don't answer, because I already stirred it. Later that night, I dig through the drawer I'd avoided, the one with my father's personal things, letters. His watch. A silver locket I've never seen before. I open it. Inside is a small piece of parchment, folded tight. I unfold it carefully. On it are initials, JH. And a date. 1 week before his supposed death. My blood runs cold. He was alive that day. The night they claimed he died. He was supposed to meet someone. This wasn't a rogue attack. It was a setup. The forest at night is a different world. Every shadow shifts. Every leaf whispers secrets too soft to hear. I move between trees like breath. My senses sharpened by instinct, tension coiling beneath my skin like a storm waiting to break. Tonight's patrol is supposed to be routine. A way for me to prove to the pack that I still remember who I am. But the air smells wrong. Not just night air, not pine or loam or the musk of our territory. Something foreign. Acidic. Intruder. I crouch low near a tree root, inhaling slowly. There it is again. A trail of scent I don't recognize. Fast. Light. Multiple sets of steps. Rogues don't move this clean. And then, I hear it. A snarl. Sharp. Human, almost. But full of teeth. Then a voice I know too well, shouting in pain. Jake. I don't think. I run. Branches whip my arms. The earth blurs under my feet as I leap over roots and tear through brush. The noise grows louder. Bodies hitting earth, claws scraping bark, growls like thunder rolling through bone. And then I see them. Jake, surrounded. 3 wolves, not ours. Lunging in formation. Coordinated like soldiers. He's holding his own, but he's bleeding, cornered, his human form barely keeping pace. Hey! I shout. Already mid-air. The shift hits me before I land. Heat rips through my spine like fire, and I feel everything inside me snap. My skin burns, my bones stretch and crack, my body folding inward, then outward again, remaking itself. Fur, teeth, claws, and vision that sees every twitch, every pulse. I hit the ground on all fours, a low growl ripping from my throat as I launch at the nearest attacker. We crash into the dirt, snapping and tearing, and I sink my teeth into his shoulder. The taste of foreign blood fills my mouth, bitter and wrong. He yelps, trying to throw me off, but I claw across his ribs before he escapes into the trees. Another lunges at Jake. I leap between them, knocking the enemy aside just in time. We fight back to back, raw and wordless, the way wolves do. Movement, instinct, blood. When the last attacker limps off into the woods, yelping, Jake collapses against a tree, panting. I stagger to his side and slowly shift back. The pain of changing form slams into me again, like fire receding in waves. Bones snap back. Fur disappears. Skin reforms, slick with sweat and blood. I kneel next to him, shaking. "You okay?" I breathe. Jake laughs, a low, pained sound. Define okay. He's got a long gash down his arm, another along his ribs, already clotting. "You didn't have to jump in like that." "Yeah," I mutter. "Well, maybe I didn't want to let you die before answering a few things." He tries to stand but stumbles. I catch his shoulder, and he leans into me without protest. "There's an old watchtower up ahead," he says. "We can hide there for the night." The tower is just what I remember. Stone base, wooden top, half-collapsed roof. It's old, forgotten, but dry and solid. We climb inside, and I drop my weight against the wall, heart still racing. Jake sits across from me, shirt off now as he cleans the blood from his side with a torn sleeve. "You've gotten stronger," he says. Not a compliment, just a fact. "So have you," I answer. "You just hide it under all that authority." We sit in silence for a few beats, breath slowing. Finally, I speak. "Why did they come after you tonight?" Jake's expression darkens. "Because I'm in the way." "Of what?" He hesitates. Then, his voice quieter. "I wasn't supposed to be alpha." I stare. "What?" "I didn't want it. I wasn't ready." He doesn't look at me. "Your father. He had other plans. He told me he wanted to pass leadership to someone else." My chest tightens. "To me?" Jake nods once. "He said you were the future. That you had something I didn't. Not just strength, but vision." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because he died the next night," Jake says bitterly. "And when the council looked to me, He breaks off. "I was scared. I didn't know who to trust. They told me if I didn't accept the mark, the pack would split. And your mother pushed for you to take it," I finish. He nods. "She said it was the only way to keep peace. You didn't even ask what I wanted." Jake looks at me then. Really looks. "I was trying to protect you." I swallow. "That's not what it felt like." "No," he agrees softly. "I know." A silence stretches between us again, but it's different now. Not cold, just full of things left unsaid. Then, I remember the attackers. I reach for one of the fallen scraps of fabric I tore from the last wolf during the fight. Dark cloth, ripped at the edge. There's a mark on it. Not any sigil I recognize. Jake sees it too. "That's not Hollowcliff," he says. "That's something else." "It was on all of them," I whisper. "They weren't rogues." Jake's eyes narrow. "Someone organized this." I run my fingers over the symbol. It's circular, almost ritualistic. An unfamiliar crest. "Looks like we're both in the way," I say quietly. He nods. "And someone's counting on us staying blind." Back at my father's house, the silence feels heavier now, as if the walls themselves are waiting for me to open the next secret. The tower encounter with Jake replays in my mind, the blood, the truths, the way his voice caught when he said my father chose me. It should have felt like validation, instead it feels like a loaded weapon I don't know how to carry. I head straight to the study. There's one place I haven't searched properly yet, the locked cabinet beneath the floorboards, hidden behind a false panel. I kneel, press my palm against the cool wood, and slide the board aside. It gives way with a soft scrape. The old metal box inside is dusty but intact. I pry it open. Inside, bundled tightly in string, are letters. Dozens of them. Written in my father's handwriting. I sit back on my heels, breath caught somewhere between a gasp and a sob. The first one starts with my name. Jess. If you're reading this, then the worst has happened. My throat tightens. I read on. "I never told you this, but I saw something in you the others never did. Strength, clarity, fire. I was going to name you my successor at the next council. I wanted them to see what I already knew. You were meant to lead." Tears burn behind my eyes. I blink them back and keep going. I fear someone knows. There are whispers in the dark. If anything happens to me, trust your instincts. Trust yourself. He signed it with his name, and a crescent mark, the same one engraved on his old ring. I read 3 more letters, all written over the span of a month before his death, all laced with warnings, all pointing to betrayal from within, and now, I know exactly who's behind it. That night, I meet Jake again, this time in the clearing near the southern border, away from patrol routes and listening ears. He looks tired, darker under the eyes, the weight of the pack pressing down more than usual. I found the letters, I say, handing him one. He scans it quickly, jaw tightening with every line. He really did mean to name you. I nod. And someone made sure he never got the chance. Jake's eyes rise to mine. We need to be careful. If Evan suspects we're working together, he already does, I interrupt. And he's not being subtle about it anymore. Jake raises a brow. He's rallying pack members, whispering lies, saying I've come back to divide the territory, to take the pack from him. Jake swears under his breath. I've been getting strange reports, patrols sent to the wrong sectors, misinformation spreading fast, someone's feeding him support. And your council? I ask. Where do they stand? They're split, he says quietly. Some still loyal to your father's legacy. But others? He shrugs. They like Evan's promises of security, order, submission. I snort. Sounds familiar. Jake frowns. I never wanted to rule with submission. No, I say. But you let others do it for you. Silence stretches between us. Then he says, so, what's your plan? We take this slow, quiet. We talk to the right people. People who remember what my father stood for. We show them these letters. We gather enough proof to force a council meeting. Jake nods. And if Evan tries to shut it down? Then we show him what fire really looks like. In the following days, the shift is undeniable. The air in the village grows tense, sharp. Conversations stop when I pass. Old friends avoid eye contact. A few younger wolves greet me with cautious respect, but most just keep their distance. I catch whispers. Jess is trying to take the alpha seat. She brought trouble with her. She's going to split us. And Evan? He plays his part well. He's everywhere, smiling, reassuring, offering help. He visits elders with baskets of food. Walks patrol routes like he cares. All the while, his lies spread like oil across a flame. One evening, I returned to the training yard to find Jake waiting for me. You heard? He asks. That Evan offered to host the spring gathering on his own land this year? Yeah. That's not tradition. No, I agree. It's a statement. Jake clenches his fists. He's baiting us. Let him, I say. He wants attention. Let's give him facts instead. We're not alone for long. That night, Lucas visits me in the study again, his face pale. They're talking about exile, he says in a low voice. Not officially, yet. But if Evan gets more of the council behind him, he won't, I interrupt. Because we'll get there first. I show him the letters. Lucas reads them in silence, his hands trembling. God help us. He mutters. He knew. He knew, and we did nothing. You can do something now, I say. Help us call for a formal council vote. He nods slowly. I'll do what I can. But Jess, watch your back. This is war. They just haven't declared it yet. By the week's end we have 7 names. 7 loyalists, old bloodlines, warriors and historians. People who remember what my father stood for. People who remember me. Jake arranges a quiet meeting at the Southern Watch House. It's nothing official, yet. But it's enough to make Evan nervous. I see it in his eyes the next day. We cross paths at the central well. His smile is wide, false. Sister, he says. You've been busy. I could say the same. He leans in, voice low. You should leave while you still can. I meet his gaze without flinching. You first. The moon hung heavy overhead. Full, pale, watchful, as the pack gathered on the central square. This place, once a ground of unity and celebration, now pulsed with unease. Torches cast flickering shadows on familiar faces twisted by doubt. The air was electric. as if the forest itself held its breath. I stood at the center, my chin high despite the roar of blood in my ears. Across from me stood Evan, flanked by 2 council members and a smug sense of triumph. Jake stood on the raised platform, the seat of the alpha, looking like a man at war with himself. Evan stepped forward, voice smooth and practiced. "Brothers, sisters, we come together tonight because we must protect the integrity of our pack." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She returned, not to reunite with us," Evan continued, "but to divide, to destroy, to conspire with outside forces that seek to unravel everything our father built." I didn't move. He held up a packet of papers, weathered, marked. "These are copies of communications between Jessica Harper and a member of the Hollowcliff Pack. Coordinated meetings, promises of territory, proof of treason." Gasps. Angry whispers. Doubt. I spoke loud enough for all to hear. "Those are forged." Evan turned to me, all innocence. "And yet your sudden interest in our politics, your secret meetings, your attempts to sway council members. All this while rogues stalk our borders." "They're not rogues," I shot back. "They're trained, and someone's funding them." He smiled coldly. "And yet they always seem to strike where you happen to be." Jake stood slowly. "Enough." His voice cut through the noise. The crowd fell silent. His eyes moved from Evan to me. "Jess, do you deny these accusations?" I met his gaze. "Every single one." Evan interrupted. "Then by the old law she must answer them in combat." A beat passed. Jake looked pained. "That law is invoked for blood crimes, not political." "She's accused of treason," Evan snapped. "There is no higher crime." Jake looked at me again. A silent question. "Are you ready?" I nodded once. The crowd formed a wide circle. Someone handed me a blade. Ceremonial, silver-edged, not meant to kill but to draw truth from pain. Jake stood opposite me, tense, unwilling. "This isn't what I want," he said under his breath. "Then don't hold back," I replied. "Fight me like you believe in something." He hesitated, and then struck. We moved like echoes of ourselves. 2 halves of a memory broken by time. Blades clashing, feet kicking up dust. Our movements fast but measured. Not trying to kill, yet. Just trying to be heard. "You should have trusted me," I growled, pushing against his guard. "I wanted to," he said, teeth clenched. "But every time I looked at you, all I saw was what I lost. And I saw what you became," I snapped. "Not the boy I loved. The man who stood by and let this happen." Jake's next blow was harder. I stumbled, rolled, came up swinging. Blood on his cheek. Blood on my arm. The crowd watched, silent, breathless. Then, a howl. Not from the circle. From the trees. Another, louder. Closer. Then screaming. The night exploded. Figures burst from the shadows, fast, brutal, not like us. Trained killers in black armor with unfamiliar markings. The same symbol I saw on the scraps of the attackers weeks ago. They weren't here for a skirmish. They were here for war. I didn't have time to think. I dropped the blade, shifted mid-motion. Bones screaming as they bent, cracked, remade me into something faster, deadlier. Jake was already shifting beside me. We leapt, side by side, back to back, the way we should have been, all along. The crowd scattered, chaos erupting. Council elders fled, younger wolves formed defensive lines. But we were the first line. Fangs tore, claws sliced. Snarls filled the air like thunder. I took down one attacker, then another. Jake slammed into 2 more, protecting the council platform. Blood sprayed. Dirt flew. In the blur of battle, our eyes met once, and it was clear. This was no longer about guilt or blame. This was survival. And in that moment, we were a pack again. When the last of the invaders fell or fled, the square was a battlefield of bodies and smoke. Wolves limped. Cries echoed. The air reeked of iron and ash. I stood, shaking, my fur matted with blood that wasn't mine. Jake shifted beside me, panting, chest rising and falling like he'd been holding it in for years. Evan emerged from behind the broken line of guards, his face pale. He hadn't lifted a claw. "How convenient," I said, shifting back to human form, my voice hoarse. "You disappear during the fight, and reappear when it's over." "I was protecting the council," he said stiffly. "No," Jake growled. "You were hiding." The crowd was watching again, but this time, differently. Warily. Some eyes were on me. And I saw it. Flickers of recognition. Respect. Jake looked at them, then at me. "She fought for you," he said. Loud. Clear. She bled for this pack. While some of us plotted, she defended. "That is the truth you saw tonight." I didn't move. Just met Evan's stare. And for the first time, he looked afraid. Morning came slow, like the forest itself was mourning the night before. Smoke still hung in the air. The square was a mess of torn earth, broken weapons, and blood that refused to dry. Wolves moved silently through the wreckage, some helping the injured, others clearing the remains of those who had attacked us. The battle was over, but something deeper had shifted. They were watching me now, not with suspicion or fear, but something else. Respect. Recognition. Jake stood at my side, dirt-streaked, bruised, his arm wrapped in bloodied cloth. He didn't speak as I stepped up to the council platform, but I felt his presence like a steady heartbeat. I held the bundle of letters in my hand. My father's words. His warnings. And now, the truth. "I won't pretend I didn't leave," I began, my voice carrying over the quiet. "Or that I didn't come back with fire in my heart. But last night you all saw what's been building. Not just an attack from the outside, but betrayal from within." I held up the letters. These were written by my father in the weeks before his death. He named names. He feared someone close to him was moving against him, and he named his successor. I paused. "He chose me." Gasps rippled through the crowd, but no one interrupted. Jake stepped forward then, his voice clear. "I can confirm that. He told me as well. I should have spoken sooner. I didn't. And for that, I owe you more than words." Evan pushed through the crowd then, face pale, lips drawn tight. "This is a farce. Fabricated, convenient lies to seize power. Then explain this." I tossed a folded letter to the ground before him. "Your name is in that one. Along with your deal with Hollow Cliff. Your plan to push me out before I could challenge you." He didn't move. No defense, just silence. The silence of a man cornered by his own reflection. Lucas stepped out of the crowd, voice firm. "I saw those letters with my own eyes. I knew her father. He wouldn't have written them lightly." More murmurs. Heads nodding. The truth, like blood, was impossible to hide forever. Jake looked out at the people, our people, and then slowly unclasped the silver pendant around his neck. "The Alpha's mark. I took this because I thought it would protect us," he said. "But the one who should have worn it is standing right here." He walked to me and placed it in my hand. A hush fell over the square. I turned to the elders. "Will you recognize this?" One by one they nodded. Then they knelt, not out of fear, out of choice. The rest of the pack followed. Even the wind seemed to still. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was chasing my father's shadow. I was standing in my own light. They exiled Evan before sunset. No one protested. He didn't fight. Didn't beg. Just walked into the woods with nothing but the clothes on his back and the knowledge that he lost not because he was wrong, but because he was weak. I watched him go without a word. Sometimes, silence is justice. That night, I stood on the roof of the Alpha's house, my house now, staring out at the moon as it broke through the thinning clouds. The world below felt raw, but real. Honest for once. Footsteps behind me. Jake. He didn't speak at first. Just stood beside me, shoulder brushing mine. "You ready?" he asked eventually. I looked at him, the boy who broke my heart, the man who bled beside me, the wolf who still carried something I couldn't quite name. "Maybe," I said. "Still figuring out what that means." He smiled, just barely. "You don't have to do it alone." "I know." He reached into his pocket, pulled out the pendant he once wore, now on a different chain, a mark of the beta, not the alpha. "If you'll have me," he said, "I'll stand beside you, not above, not in front. Just beside." I took it from his hand, pressed my fingers around the cool metal, then nodded. The wind picked up again, tugging at my hair. Below us the village lights glowed. Quiet. Safe. Above us the moon watched, not a judge but a witness. I closed my eyes, breathing in everything I had fought through. Loss. Love. Blood. Truth. And I thought, sometimes, to become stronger, you have to lose everything. And start building again. On ruins, in blood. But with your own.